Hello and welcome back to the channel and welcome to 2026. It is my favorite time of the year. A new tradition has blossomed in my own life and here on the channel. I'm of course talking about the Criterion Challenge. Now, if you don't know what the Criterion Challenge is, it's been going on for 5 years. This will be the sixth Criterion Challenge. And the general idea is to pick 52 films from the Criterion Collection to watch over the 52 weeks of 2026. It is not any 52 films. It is 52 films that coincide with a list of categories, which we are going to get to right now. How about we get right to it? All right, so as you can see on my screen, we have Letterboxd user Ben right here. Once again, hello, Ben. And every year, at the beginning of the year, he posts the Criterion Challenge. And it gives you a little introduction. So we could read this. Welcome to the sixth annual Criterion Challenge, where we celebrate the Criterion Collection. Your choices could be any films released by Criterion on 4K, Blu-ray, DVD, VHS, Laserdisc, or ones that have been featured on the Criterion Channel streaming service. The films can be watched daily, weekly, or monthly, and in any order. Watch them at your own pace, but remember you have to finish by December 31st. I would like for all the picks to be first-time watches. We're going to see in my selections, they are going to be all first-time watches for me, but leave it up to yourself. And then we scroll down, we got some shout-outs and stuff that's going to be helpful later, but we have the categories. So we're going to run through them one by one, and I'm going to be making my selections in real time with you all. Last year, what I essentially did was I picked like the movie I wanted to watch and then maybe a couple backups. I'm not doing that this time. You'll see what I mean in just a minute. So without further ado, why don't we just get into it with our first category, 20th anniversary release. So we'll click on this link. So these are films that were newly released to the Criterion Collection in 2006. I already made a majority of my selections, but we have some more things to cover later on. But for this one, I decided to go with Whit Stillman's Metropolitan. This is a film that I've been meaning to watch. It's been on my watch list for a very long time. I've heard some great things about it. And I've never seen another Whit Stillman movie, so this will be a first for me. But yeah, that one is going firmly in category number 1. So this is a good time to get this out of the way. So right here, I am making my own list, basically cloned it from the original Ben's list. So we're going to put Metropolitan with Stillman at our number 1 slot. That's the general vibe. That's what we're going for from here on out. We could maybe speed things along. All right, so back to the list. Number 2 is a film not on your watch list. Now, this was pretty difficult because I have a pretty expansive watch list, but I did find one movie that I wanted to put on there. So let's go over to the Criterion Collection website, and it is the film L'Argent by Robert Bresson from 1983. I don't really know anything about this. I did briefly read the blurb here, and it seems really interesting. Robert Bresson is one of those filmmakers who, I've maybe seen a couple of his films. I'm trying to think of what else of his I might have seen. But L'Argent seems to be like a pretty good pick, so it's going to go right on my list. Watch a film with a color in the title. So they do these little hyperlinks, which are super helpful. And you can look through here, and you can see all of these different films with colors in the title: The Red Balloon, White Dog, White Mane, Bad Day at Black Rock. So I had a very specific thing in mind for this one. Immediately when I saw this category, I knew what I was going to do because the color trilogy is something I've always wanted to check out, but just kind of haven't found a way in to it. So this seems like a pretty perfect way in. It's only one movie, so I'm only going to put one movie in. So I'm going to do White by Kieslowski. And what I wanted to try to do, and I kind of ended up failing at this, and you'll see as we go along, I wanted to see if I can get the other 2 colors somewhere else on the list. For now, I'm putting White on there, and that's a bit of a placeholder because I plan on watching the entire trilogy. Now, number 4 is 2020s or an upcoming release. And what did I have for that? I had a film that was on my watch list. I really meant to see it when it came out. I'm going to display this now for you all so you can see how you would go about doing this if you were going to try to craft your own challenge. So you would go to the Criterion Collection website right up in here. It would go to all films. And then what you could do is you could filter. So you can hit the filter button. You can filter by decade. So we're doing 2020s, hit apply, and then there they are. There's all the films on the Criterion Collection that came out between 2020 and 2026, I guess. So for this one, let me see if I can find it. And I picked Wim Wenders' Perfect Days. This was one that I really was meaning to watch when it came out back in 2023, and I just sort of missed it. And so many of my friends have seen it by now and have told me that it's incredible. And Wim Wenders is a filmmaker that I've long admired. Number 5 is an interesting one. So here we're going to do something a little bit different. Now, normally, again, I would pick a film. Last year, I picked a film and then I picked like a backup. You know, if I wasn't feeling the one that I picked originally, I would go with a backup. But now I'm not going to do that. But what I am going to do is I'm going to leave it up to the fates, to the gods. What I'm doing is we're using a pinwheel and we are going to pick a movie based on this. So here I have a pinwheel that's going to spin and it's got some movies on it. So basically I went through a list of romance films in the Criterion Collection and I wrote down a list of them that I feel I would want to watch throughout the year. And so what I have is Bring It Up Baby, The Palm Beach Story, Brief Encounter, David Lean's Brief Encounter, Gilda, A Man and a Woman, and Fallen Angels by Wong Kar-wai. So what we're going to do live here, no trickery, no editing, whatever I select is going to be the movie that I put in this slot for my Criterion Challenge. So let's go ahead and click the button. Drum roll, please. It does a little bit of music. Maybe you could hear that. The Palm Beach Story wins out. I love that. We get confetti and everything. So Preston Sturgis, I just watched Sullivan's Travels for the first time in 2025. I'm excited to see what the Palm Beach Story even is. Okay, the next category, the 20 least watched films. Now, I want to click on this hyperlink and show you all something that is an absolute travesty. There's a film on here that I watched in 2025 that everyone needs to watch. And if you are making your own Criterion Challenge list of movies, you need absolutely to put Alambrista on there, directed by Robert M. Young. This film is incredible, and it is absolutely should not be on this list of least watched films in the Criterion Collection. Really great film. So obviously that's not my pick. My pick for this one is a film called Don't Play Us Cheap. Now, this is a film I don't know anything about. It's a comedy musical by Melvin Van Peebles, a filmmaker whose films I don't think I've seen any of. And as an African-American family and friends gather in an apartment for a house party, two mischief-making devil bats take human form in order to break up the party. I'm sold. I cannot wait. Don't Play Us Cheap is going right there in the number 6 spot. All right, we're cruising right along here at category number 7. This is queer cinema. I had a very particular one that I wanted to watch for this. There's another movie on my watch list. It's been on my watch list for a very, very long time. I have always wanted to see Paul Schrader's Mishima, A Life in 4 Chapters. So that's what I'm going to put in this category. There are some other ones in here that I thought sounded really interesting, but you should definitely go through the whole thing, pick whichever one sounds most interesting to you. But Mishima has been one that I've been wanting to watch for a long time. All of the stills I've seen of it make it look incredible. So, and Paul Schrader, I feel like you can't doubt Paul Schrader. All right, so our next category, 1930s. So when it comes to the decades, I did the exact same thing that I did with romance, where I basically compiled a list of films that I would want to watch. So here is my little spinner of films from the 1930s that we're going to be selecting from. Again, no editing trickery here. Whatever it lands on is what I have to watch. But here are the options. We have Hell's Angels, City Lights. Last year I watched I watched The Kid, a Charlie Chaplin film, and I'm trying to get some more Charlie Chaplin in here. That's also a good point to bring up, that what I am also attempting to do here is not have any repeat directors. That said, we have City Lights, we have M by Fritz Lang, we have The Man Who Knew Too Much, we have It Happened One Night. The Man Who Knew Too Much is the Alfred Hitchcock version, I believe. It Happened One Night, because there is an Ozu version of this film, I believe. It Happened One Night, A Story of Floating Weeds, Modern Times, 39 Steps, another Hitchcock, and Only Angels Have Wings. Those are the options. Fingers crossed. Let's see what we're going to land on. And we get M by Fritz Lang. Wow. All right. M is going on there from 1931. Fritz Lang is one of those filmmakers who I don't have much of a relationship to at all. So I am excited to see what all of that is about. Okay, so our next category, 1990s, we're going right back to another pinwheel. Up first, we have Close Up, an Abbas Kiarostami film that I have always been meaning to watch. Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down, which is in a Pedro Almodovar film. Night on Earth by Jim Jarmusch, A Brighter Summer Day by Edward Yang. Hard Boiled, John Woo. I feel like that came up a lot in 2025. Got some reissues here and there. Shortcuts, Robert Altman. Here we have Blue from the Color trilogy. Maybe I can end up getting Blue somewhere in here as well. Crumb, Terry Zwigoff film I've always wanted to see. Devil in a Blue Dress. The Blade, which was recently announced as coming out. I think it's coming out in March on the in the collection, which I think is the most recent Spine number too. We'll get to that later on. When We Were Kings, a documentary that I've always wanted to check out about Muhammad Ali. There's a great song by Aesop Rock called John Something, which is about this documentary or about the time that Aesop Rock learned about this documentary. That's just a little tangent. Irma Vep, Oliver Assayas is one of these filmmakers who I'm trying to watch his films this year. He's a filmmaker that kind of passed me by, and I'm trying to get through his filmography a little bit because I've seen some trailers and stuff, and his films always seem really interesting, but for some reason he's a filmmaker who I've never watched before. Afterlife, The Thin Red Line, and Happiness, the Todd Solondz film that makes everyone uncomfortable, and I have never seen it, and maybe I'm going to see it this year. We'll see what the pinwheel, we'll see what the gods decide. So let's go ahead and click this. I'm going to take a sip of coffee while it spins. Oh, what do you know? We get Blue. Blue is going on there. Well, that's exciting. Hello, editing Josh here. I was working on the video right after shooting it, and I realized I made a bit of a mistake here because I previously established that I didn't want to have the same director represented twice on the challenge. And obviously, if I'm doing Blue, then that means Kieslowski is represented twice. So I decided to do a different film. Yeah, so for category number 9, I did another one of these pinwheel things for films for the 90s, and I got The Blade. This film becomes available sometime in March. But yeah, I will be replacing Blue on my Criterion Challenge list with The Blade, but I will still be watching the entire Colors trilogy anyway. But just thought I'd come on here and set the record straight that Blue is no longer on the challenge proper. Back to the video. All right. Up next is a random number generator. Again, this is something I wanted to do live, so we're going to get rid of this one. And we have a random number generator. So the latest spine number, as I said, is that film The Blade, and is spine number 1305. So we're using this random number generator. No trickery here. We're going to hit generate and go find the spine number 1200. And then we scroll down. Let's see what our number 1200 is. The Red Balloon and Other Stories. Now, here's the problem. I've already seen the Red Balloon, so we are going to generate again. 22. Okay, let's go back to the full list here. 22 Summertime. Come on. I just watched this in 2025 for my Criterion Challenge. All right, let's try another one. I mean, I've seen quite a few films on here, but what are the odds that I get 2 that I've already seen? 594. 94 is Godzilla. Wow, okay. It's going on there. From 1954, Godzilla. The original. Godzilla. All right, I gotta find the right one. There it is. Yeah, 1954, Ishiro Honda. That's it. Godzilla. Number 10, random number generator. We can get rid of that. That did its job. And up next on the list, we have King Princess's top 10. So we hit the hyperlink here. I'll have to check out some of King Princess's stuff. So for this one, I did make a selection. I've seen quite a few of the films on this list. So I had to sort of narrow it down to the ones I had not seen. And just to speed things along, I picked Hedwig and the Angry Inch. I know nothing about this movie. I'm going to try not to read anything about this movie, but it's a title that I've heard so many times, and I've always been curious. It's such a strange title. So Hedwig and the Angry Inch. All right, our next category is judge a film by its cover. Watch a film whose cover art caught your eye. This is a fascinating one. There is one that caught my eye recently, and I almost put it on last year, just because of the cover art alone. For this one, I'm actually going to go back to the queer cinema, and it's a film right here called Carell. Now, there's a caveat to this. Rainer Werner Fassbinder is a filmmaker who I watched for the first time, a film called The Merchant of Four Seasons last year for my challenge. Didn't really love that film, but for some reason, this cover always really piqued my interest. Don't read into that too closely, but what I'm saying is something about the cinematography, and then also based on some of the photos down below, always just really kind of fascinated me. It looks very striking visually. I'm going to check out this movie. So we're going to put Carell by Rainer Werner Fassbinder. So the next one is a fun one, Song and Dance. Which one did I pick for this? I have my list over. Oh, I picked a pretty interesting one that's a title that I've heard so many times, and I know nothing about this film. But right here is my selection. It is Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, directed by Russ Meyer, based on a screenplay by Roger Ebert. And also, in terms of cover art, this cover art always kind of was pretty striking to me too. So this could have fit in the last category as well. But Beyond the Valley of the Dolls is going in my number, number 13 slot. Our next category is 2000s. We get another pinwheel. Is everyone excited? Because I know I am. 2000s. I didn't have as many as the 1990s, but we have Traffic, Steven Soderbergh film, Bamboozled by Spike Lee, Ghost World by Terry Zwigoff, 2046 by Wong Kar-wai. The Beat My Heart Skipped is a Jacques Audiard film, I believe. I don't know what Summer Hours is. I might have to look that up because I put that on there. Maybe it was just one that interested me. And then Daddy Long Legs. So let's go ahead and click here. Let's see what it is. Spike Lee's Bamboozled is our winner, and it's going right on the list. I actually know nothing about the plot of Bamboozled, so I'm excited to just dive in. All right, so up next we have Director Approved, and I picked one for this, and I picked a recent one, so let's go to our hyperlink here. So the one that I picked is going to be a new release for 2026, and it is going to be Testament. Now, I made a video about the March releases. You can go check that out to see what else is coming out in March. But then this one came up, and I was reading the blurb, and I thought to myself, this seems really, really interesting. So I don't really want to get too far into what this film is about. I would recommend you take a look for yourself on the Criterion website right here. Yeah, this one seems really interesting to me, so I'm putting Testament on there. All right, up next we have Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg's Closet Picks. This one was a super easy one for me. I might make an amendment. Do I make an amendment? I don't know. No, I'm going to go with my original. I'm just going to go with Shampoo, which is a Hal Ashby film that I've heard a lot about. I've heard that it's great. It's got Warren Beatty in it. I love Warren Beatty. It's also got Goldie Hawn. I love Goldie Hawn. Julie Christie's cool too. I don't really know anything about it. It's about a Beverly Hills hairdresser runs around town on the eve of a 1968 presidential election, trying to make heads or tails of his financial and romantic entanglements. Sounds interesting. Sounds really interesting to me. Number 17. This one was tricky. This was a really tricky one. Prequel, sequel, remake, reimagining. So what I did for this one, I kind of had to do like a double feature for this one because they didn't have a hyperlink, so you kind of had to do this one on your own. I decided to go with something that is a name of a series of movies, a duology of movies that I'd always wanted to see, but I didn't know anything really about them, and that is Lady Snowblood. So let's look at the complete Lady Snowblood. So it's two films directed by Toshiya Fujita, a filmmaker that I don't know about. But these films were apparently a big inspiration for Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill saga, which in 2025, they did the whole Bloody Affair thing. I'm sure a lot of people saw that. Basically, Love Song of Vengeance is going to be my sequel that I'm putting on this list, but I have to watch both of them because I haven't seen either of them. So I'm going to put Lady Snowblood, Love Song of Vengeance at my number 17 slot. Okay, up next we have our number 18 category, which is the 1980s. And I have another pinwheel. Wouldn't you know it? We get a lot of titles on this one. Whole lot of titles. So let's go through them. We have Altered States. We have The Ballad of Gregorio Cortez, which was directed by Robert M. Young. Part of me is kind of crossing my fingers and thinking, I kind of want this one to get picked. We have The Big Chill, broadcast news, John Huston's The Dead, uh, Wayne Wang's Dim Sum, Heaven's Gate, Hollywood Shuffle. I hear a lot about Hollywood Shuffle. That's another one. I really hope the gods. It was really hard to narrow this down. King Lear, directed by Jean-Luc Godard. Mate One, My Dinner with Andre, Louis Malle. Ron, Something Wild. That's supposed to be one. Something Wild and Streetwise. So those are our options. Let's click the button and see what the fates decide. Okay, John Huston's The Dead. I don't know much about The Dead. I know it's, I think, a somewhat recent film to the collection. Or maybe it's a reissue. It'll be available later this month in January 20th. Okay, so for this next one, watch a film that starts with the first letter of your name. My first name starts with a J, Joshua. I picked a pretty interesting one for this, I think, if I could toot my own horn a little bit. All right, so we get films like Japon, we get Jellyfish Eyes, Jericho, The Joke, Jojo Dancer, Your Life is Calling. I thought about doing that one. I'm a Richard Pryor fan of sorts. Not as many J films as I thought there would be, but I stumbled across this one film that I'd never heard of before by Nobuo Nakagawa called Jugoku. And I read this blurb and it immediately piqued my interest. And then I watched the trailer and that piqued my interest even more. So this is going to be what I'm going to watch for a film starting with the letter J, Jigoku. Moving on, Catherine Bigelow's Closet Picks. We can go here, and these are the films that she picked in her Criterion Closet video. For this one, I ended up picking Costa Gavras' The Confession. And I don't really know anything about this, but Costa Gavras is a filmmaker that has been piquing my interest lately. I kind of scrolled through a list of films by him, and they seem pretty interesting to me. I don't know anything about The Confession. The Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs of Czechoslovakia, knowing he's being watched and followed, is one day arrested and put into solitary confinement. Sounds intense, very much like a lot of Catherine Bigelow films. So The Confession is going in here. All right, now we're on to another decade, the 1940s, at our number 21 slot. We have yet again another pinwheel. So here we have Arsenic and Old Lace, a Frank Capra film. Bicycle Thieves, known to be one of the greatest films ever made, but I still have not seen it. Black Narcissus, Brute Force, Late Spring, Nightmare Alley, the original, of course. Quai des Orfèvres is a film by Henri-Georges Clouzot. I'm trying to watch more Henri-Georges Clouzot films this year, so that one had to go in here, and we'll see what that is. Red River, Howard Hawks is another filmmaker that I discovered in 2025 that I really want to dive into. Stray Dog, a Kurosawa film. There Was a Father, another Ozu, and To Be or Not to Be, I forget who made this. We'll find out if it ends up getting selected. So let's spin the wheel. Wow, what are the odds of that? To Be or Not to Be, the one film that I was like, I don't really remember putting this on there, but let's see. Ernst Lubitsch. Okay, he's a filmmaker who I don't have a relationship with, so I'm excited to check this out. As nervy as it is hilarious, it's a screwball masterpiece from Ernst Lubitsch. Husband and wife thespians in Nazi-occupied Warsaw who become caught up in a dangerous spy plot. Hell yes. To Be or Not to Be, I'm excited. And we'll move on to our next one. This was a tricky one to narrow down. The 22 slot is watch a film rated 2.0 to 2.9 stars. What did I end up picking? I ended up going with the film All These Women, which is right here by Ingmar Bergman, who's a filmmaker that, I watched a couple of his films back in college, but I think since then I have not seen very much. But All These Women is apparently going to be the next Ingmar Bergman film that I watch. For better or worse, we'll find out. Number 23, pick any category from a past Criterion Challenge year. Now, I kind of screwed up on this because I did this before I went through the rest of the list. What I ended up doing was going down to the bottom of the list and I picked Criterion Challenge 2021. Okay. And then I looked at all the categories and stuff, and I came across, where is it? Based on a book. And I clicked based on a book, and I ended up picking a movie from this list here. There is a category later on in the 2026 challenge that is novels on the big screen. So it's a bit of a doubling up of categories, but you know what? It is what it is. I decided to pick the Tarkovsky film, Stalker. So we are going with Stalker. Tarkovsky is a filmmaker. I've seen a couple of his films, not nearly enough of his films. I know that they're beautiful, and Stalker's one that I have had on my list for a long time. So I got to say, they definitely don't make a lot of these categories easy for you, like number 24 here. 1001 movies you must watch before you die. And then you got to sift through all 1000 films and make your selection there. But not only that, you got to make a selection that is in the Criterion Collection. And apparently, I've watched 24% of the 1001 films you got to watch before you die, which is actually pretty solid. I'm pretty okay with that. But we do have a list right here of films in that 1000. I went through the whole list and I picked a whole bunch that I thought maybe I might like. So we have Stagecoach, Rashomon, Red River, Night of the Hunter, Contempt, Targets, The Color of Pomegranates, Amarcord, Salo, 120 Days in Sodom, In the Realm of the Senses, Days of Heaven, The Last Metro, Local Hero, I'm taking off. That'll come up later. The Vanishing, The Ice Storm, and once again, Todd Solondz's Happiness. Let's see what it cooks up for us. Wow. I feel like it just kind of knows. But, yep, officially, Todd Solondz's Happiness is going on the list. Our next category, we have Good for Her Cinematic Universe. Let's quickly click this hyperlink and figure out what this actually is. Hello and welcome to the Good for Her Cinematic Universe. Is there really anything better than thinking good for her while a woman achieves her dreams, fights back against her adversaries, or receives an end to her story that is satisfying? Absolutely not. And I 100% agree. I went through all 12 pages of this. I ended up picking a film that's on here. All right, I'm not going to be able to find it in here, so we're just going to go right up here. I ended up picking the film Bound by Lana Wachowski and Lily Wachowski, the makers of The Matrix. And yeah, this is a film I've heard a lot about. Some things are more intriguing than others. And it's got Gina Gershon in it. Maybe it's just admitting too much about myself, but I will watch anything with Gina Gershon in it. All right, number 26, Guy Madden's Top 10. Guy Madden is a filmmaker and writer who I don't know a whole lot about. But this list was really interesting to me. You have Forbidden Games, Day of Wrath, Umberto D, Grey Gardens, Pandora's Box, a whole bunch of stuff. I decided to go with this film right here by Douglas Sirk, written on the wind. I don't know anything about it, but it's got Rock Hudson, a filmmaker who piqued my interest when I watched John Frankenheimer's Seconds last year. Alcoholism, nymphomania, impotence, and deadly jealousy. All right, yeah, you gotta, if you put all four of those things in a sentence together, I'm gonna be interested. All right, so up next is another decade. So we get to do the famous pinwheel trick again, number 27, 1960s. Let's run through it right here. So let's go ahead and spin that wheel. All right, we landed on Orson Welles' The Trial. So that's gonna go on our list. You know, there are other films in there that I'm like, oh, maybe I'd prefer that. But hey, that's what we're going with, The Trial. All right, get a good stretch in because we still have a lot to cover. Where were we? That was 1960s. Up next is directed by Satyajit Ray. For this one, I'll make it easy. I watched Patra Panchali back in college, and that's part of a trilogy, so I kind of didn't want to watch any of the others without rewatching Patra Panchali, but that's not going to be my pick. I'm going to do the film The Hero by Satyajit Ray from 1966. I don't know anything about this. I'm going to read about it later, and I'm going to put it right there on my list. So we'll do The Hero, directed by Satyajit Ray. Up next, we have watch a film from any box set release. For this one, which box set did I go with? I decided to go back to the CC40 box set because it's got a ton of titles in there. And if you scroll down, you will find a film from a filmmaker who really, really caught my eye this past year. And that is, of course, where is it? Billy Wilder and Ace in the Hole. I've always wanted to see this. And now that I'm watching a whole lot of Billy Wilder films, it seems like the perfect opportunity to finally watch Ace in the Hole. So that is going at my number 29 slot. All right, up next we have a list of films in the Black Lives a selection of films from Criterion Collection. Which one did I end up picking? I ended up picking a film from this list that I had heard of only in name and never seen a single thing about it. But for this one, I decided to pick One False Move, directed by Carl Franklin, a filmmaker I don't know much about. But this sounded so interesting to me. It was co-written by Billy Bob Thornton. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know anything about this, but it kind of sounds like a Coen Brothers movie to me. It's got a very sort of like Coen Brothers vibe to it, kind of like a Simple Plan, the Sam Raimi film. God, my brain is not firing on all cylinders this morning. Anyway, One False Move as going in there. Okay, number 31. Watch a film rated 3.7 stars. Again, they don't make this incredibly easy for you, so I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you what my pick was, and it's kind of an interesting one. I was a little surprised. It is actually the film Weekend by Jean-Luc Godard. It has a 3.7 on Letterboxd. And yeah, this is going to be interesting. I obviously, I mean, I love Jean-Luc Godard, but he's made so many films and I haven't seen nearly enough of them. So I'm going to put Weekend by Jean-Luc Godard on here. Okay, at number 32, we have Elle Fanning's Closet Picks. So we click on that link there and we get a bunch of these. Now, I've seen 60% of this list right here. So I had to pick. There's a film on here that I have mentioned it a few times in this video already, and that is this film Daisies by, I'm not going to try to pronounce that because I feel like I'm going to get it wrong, but I've heard that this film is very, very interesting. This is from Czechoslovakia. This is a sort of, I believe, experimental or surrealist film from Czechoslovakia. Watch the trailer for this movie because it is kind of bonkers, and the imagery, the cinematography all seems really, really fascinating to me. So Daisies, I knew was one that I wanted to watch this year, and I'm glad I get to kind of put it on the list. Okay, up next. This one just says war. I assume means a war film. So for this one, I picked a film based on a suggestion from someone in my YouTube comments. If you are watching this, thank you so much. It's a film I tried to watch when I was in high school, and I don't think I ever got through the whole thing, or if I did, I don't remember a single bit about it. And that is going to be Terrence Malick's The Thin Red Line. Now, of course, you know, it's a film, the category is war film, and this definitely fits the bill. So Thin Red Line by Terrence Malick. We're going to put The Thin Red Line right there. Up next, we have another decade. We get 2 decades back to back. We have 2010s. All right, so I have another pinwheel for the 2010s. This is a real kind of like filmmakers I have never watched before list. So I'm excited for whatever I get. All right. You know, you hear things about movies. I've heard a lot of things about Blue is the Warmest Color, which I will say is intriguing to me. I have heard that this movie is like 4 hours long or 3 hours long. It's a long movie, right? I'm not crazy about that. Yeah, 179 minutes. So yeah, about 3 hours. Number 35, we have another decade, the 1950s. And once again, we've got a list of films on here, a whole lot of them. A whole lot of films. I would be delighted with any of these. Let's see what we get. Drum roll, please. La Strada, which is a Fellini film, right? And I don't believe I have Fellini represented anywhere else on this list. I'll have to go through it. But La Strada, this was the winner of the very first Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film. That's exciting to hear. From 1954. And Glorious Restorations. Here we have another list of films. We'll run through them kind of quickly. So these are films that were restored by the Criterion Collection, and they look phenomenal. I mean, you have The Wages of Fear on here, Peeping Tom, a film that I didn't love, but it looks great. On here, I did make a pick. Oh, I picked an interesting one that I've never seen before, and I might have to save it for October, but I picked George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead right here. Has a nice new 4K addition to it. I sort of like to pick movies at the beginning of the year that I know I'm going to watch at a certain point in the year. So maybe come October, I'll be watching Night of the Living Dead. Maybe I'll watch that other Japanese horror film that I picked. Okay, we're getting there, folks. We are getting there. Number 37 is must-see Criterion release as featured on Danny Peary's Guide for the Film Fanatic in 1986. There is a ton of stuff on here, so we're not going to really scroll through all of this. And yet again, I have a pinwheel. Again, I would be excited for any one of these. Actually, I believe Knights of Cabiria now has to come off because Fellini directed that. Let's see what we get. All right, the film I probably know the least about, which is Two-Lane Blacktop. So I'm going to click on this. So this is directed by Monty Hellman, came out in 1971. Drag racing east from Los Angeles in a souped-up 55 Chevy are the wayward driver and mechanic, James Taylor, and Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys. What? All right, I'm immediately sold. Two-Lane Blacktop. It's going on the list. This is an interesting one. Random letter generator. We're going to have to do this live, so bear with me. Folks, number 38, we're going to click on this random letter generator, which I believe I have right here. We're going to spin it, and then we have to pick a film with that letter. Okay, so let's do it. Spin it. What do we land on? The letter P. All right, so we get some good options. Is there anything in here? I already have the Palm Beach Story somewhere on here. Pandora's Box, maybe. Pan's Labyrinth, maybe Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. I'm going to come back to that one. Persona, Personal Shopper. I did mention Oliver Assayas. Phoenix, The Piano Teacher. I don't know if I can do another Haneke. We'll see. A lot of movies with the letter, starting with the letter P. The one that kind of piqued my interest the most out of all of these was Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. This is the problem with doing this live. I think I'm going to do Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. I don't really know anything about this, but I've also really been loving doing a lot of Westerns. I really got back into Westerns in 2025. So we're going to do Pat Garrett. So number 39, best movies of the 21st century. Once again, we have a whole list of movies on here. The problem with this one is I think I've seen like 90% of these. So I had to pick something that I hadn't seen, which I mentioned earlier, which is Guillermo del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth. And I know, don't shoot me, but I have not seen Pan's Labyrinth for some reason. I've seen most of his other movies, and I just have, for whatever reason, this one just kept getting kicked down the road a little bit further. And directed by Mira Nair. I am recording this from New York City, of course. And I think there's a pretty clear reason why Mira Nair is being selected in this Criterion Challenge, because her son was elected and just got inaugurated into being the mayor of New York City, Zohran Mamdani. So I've already seen Mississippi Masala, so I can't do that one. The only other options are Monsoon Wedding and 7 short films, or Salaam Bombay. So I decided to go with Salaam Bombay. I don't know anything about this. It's a kaleidoscopic portrait of Bombay teeming street life. Combines documentary-like sense of place with a poignant exploration of everyday resilience. I really loved Mississippi Masala, so I'm very excited to see what Salaam Bombay is about. Number 41, spine number 701 to 750. I did make a selection for this one, and I decided to go with, let's see what spine number it is. Number 732, My Darling Clementine, directed by John Ford. Once again, I kind of got back into Westerns this year. So John Ford, director of The Searchers, a film that I discovered in 2025 and really blew my mind with how much I loved it. So I wanted to see some more John Ford. Moving right along, we have another decade, the 1970s, and wouldn't you know it, we have a little pinwheel with a whole lot of options on here. So yeah, let's click on this little pinwheel and see what we get. Paolo Pasolini's The Canterbury Tales is a film that I thought about watching last year, and I don't know anything about this. I think it's supposed to be like a hypersexual version of The Canterbury Tales. We're going to check it out. I'm excited about this. Up next, we have from the Letterboxd 250. If you click on this, I'm going with Harakiri, a film that has been on the top of the Letterboxd 250 for a long time. But weirdly, a film I don't hear a whole lot of people talking about. So I am going to check it out for myself. And my friend Jay gave it 4 stars. Hello, Jay, if you're out there watching. Watch a film you haven't seen that someone else watched as part of last year's challenge. Once again, I'm using my commenters here on YouTube for help with this one. And there's a commenter who I'm not going to name here, but if you are watching this, you know who you are. You commented on my video pretty recently about your 2025 challenge, and you picked a movie called I Married a Witch, a film I'd never heard of, directed by Renee Claire, starring Veronica Lake, of all people, someone who I adore. I know nothing about this movie, but you seem to recommend it very highly in my YouTube comments, so it's going on my list. Once again, thank you so much for being a watcher and for suggesting this movie. I mean, maybe not thank you. I might actually hate it and then really regret picking it, but we'll find out at the end of the year. Okay, up next, we have novels on the big screen again, and I did pick one from this list here. And it was one that I kind of picked a little bit grudgingly. I decided to go with Nicholas Roeg's Don't Look Now. Now, Nicholas Roeg is a filmmaker who I last watched The Man Who Fell to Earth and didn't really vibe with it, but what I will say is that it looked kind of phenomenal. Now, number 46, Random Year Generator. So I did not do this. We get to do this live together once again, starting in 1915 all the way to 2024. And then I have to pick a movie from that year. So we're going to do that live in front of all of you right now. 2013. I was really hoping for something like pre-2000s, but we'll see what we get. What do we have in 2013? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 movies to pick from. And Blue's the Warmest Color is already on that list. I've already seen Frances Ha Before Midnight. I've never seen The Great Beauty or Jellyfish Eyes. Takashi Murakami. You know what? I think we're going to go with Jellyfish Eyes. I don't know anything about this movie, but it looks kind of cute. It kind of looks, is it like a kid's movie? I don't know what this is. We're going to go with Jellyfish Eyes. That's the nature of the challenge. All right, up next is category 47, Women Directors. So if we go through here, again, I'm not going to sort through all of this because there are, let's see, there are quite a number of movies to run through in here, and I had a tough time picking. Oh, I ended up picking this film right here, The Watermelon Woman, a film I know nothing about by Cheryl Dunye. I hope that's how you pronounce it. A young black lesbian filmmaker probes into the life of the Watermelon Woman, a 1930s black actress who played mammy archetypes. We're working our way through. We're almost there. David Byrne's Closet Picks. This was a fairly easy one to get through. And what did I end up picking? I ended up picking the Powell and Pressburger film, A Matter of Life and Death. This film is one that really intrigued me. Again, Powell and Pressburger really impressed me in 2025 with The Red Shoes. But A Matter of Life and Death, I've heard good things about. And if David Byrne swears by it, then I'm going to go with it. We have a twofer. We have a double feature. Now, this one was a little bit tricky to get through, but if you click on this hyperlink, you'll see that you have these double features. And essentially, the idea is number 1 and 2 are a double feature. Number 3 and 4 are a double feature, so on and so forth. So if you go through it, you have to pick 2 movies, and category 49 will be the first one, and 48 will be the second one. I picked Funny Girl and Funny Lady. Now, the weird thing about this category, or this pair of categories, is that a lot of these films on here, they're paired with films that are not in the Criterion Collection. So like Funny Lady is not a film that is in the Criterion Collection, but Funny Girl is. So I think that's the idea. You watch one that's in the collection and the one that's not in the collection. Number 51, we have our final pinwheel to pick from. So this category is from the 1920s. Now, they don't have a ton of films from the 1920s in the collection. I mean, they have a lot, but based on all of those, I decided to narrow it down between The Lodger, The Passion of Joan of Arc, Pandora's Box, The Mystic, The King of Kings, and another Charlie Chaplin film, The Circus. So we went with that, and let's see what the pinwheel gives us. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm a little tired. Pandora's Box. Pandora's Box, it is. I want to see a little bit about Pandora's Box here. Let's go here. G.W. Pabst, a filmmaker that I don't know anything about, but this cover art really was pretty striking to me. We'll see what this is like, but these stills actually look pretty phenomenal. I'm excited. It's on the Criterion channel if anyone out there wants to watch it. A little bit bittersweet. We're getting to the end here. Watch any Criterion film from your watch list. Now, there's a ton of films on here that obviously were on those pinwheels that didn't get selected that I could go with. But there is one that I've kind of had my eye on for a little bit. It's a bit of an unconventional one, and maybe not one that everyone on here is expecting. I'm going to go with a film called Local Hero. I don't know anything about this, but I think the cover really struck me. And I think I saw a clip from it somewhere that really made me think it was worth watching. I don't know. It's just speaking to me right now. And sometimes when the universe is speaking to you in that way, you just kind of have to dive in and see what happens. So Local Hero is going to be at number 52 on my list. And there it is. It is my full Criterion challenge. You can also go follow this list and clone this list to help make your own. You can go over to Ben, Letterboxd user Ben. Here's his profile right here. You could find him, and I'll put a link down in the description if you want to make your own Criterion challenge, just the way that I did right now. Again, it takes time, and I think part of this curation is part of what makes it so much fun. You're looking forward to the future, and you're looking forward to what you're going to be watching throughout the year, and adding a little bit of structure to your year. So anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know down in the comments if there are any films from my Criterion challenge that I talked about in this video that you have seen already, and let me know what you thought of them without spoiling. Please do not spoil them. Let me know what films are going to go on your Criterion challenges. Put links down in the description. I want to see them. I want to connect with everyone that is watching this channel. Yeah, that's going to do it for me. I really need to get some tea because my voice is kind of going. I don't know if you could tell by now, but it is definitely going on me. So do all the normal things, like this video, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to be notified when new videos come out on this channel. You can go ahead and follow me over on Letterboxd, so you can not only see my Criterion challenge and as I update it throughout the year, but you can just see what I'm watching when I'm watching it. And go check out my podcast, the Cinema Wellness Podcast. And once again, this is a podcast that is seeking people to come on as guests. A bit of an open door policy. You just have to send an email down to this email address and say, hey, I'm interested in being on your podcast. And then we will hopefully get you on the show. Easy as that. So yeah, that's going to do it for me. Criterion challenge. I cannot wait to make my way through this list of movies. I will see you all next time.